Hi, welcome to another edition of Say Yes to the Expert. Today, I have the distinct honor of introducing you to someone who's part of the Elevate Wedding Officiant team. And she is an ordained pastor from the Presbyterian Church, and she's going to bring an interesting insight to everyone. So, Denise, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I have to tell you, when I first met you, it was like, yeah, I absolutely have to have you on our team. But I keep kicking myself. So I was like, why did I bring another Denise on board? I know it can get confusing to people, but we want to hopefully move some of that confusion out of the way with doing this interview today. But there is a place I need to start. And that's talking a little bit about spirituality. When
Mhm.
I'm meeting with a couple, I'm asking them, what is their degree of spirituality? Do they want prayer and scripture? Do they want no mention of God? Where are they on that spectrum? And
Mhm.
it inevitably leads to a comment. And that is that one of them says, I was raised Lutheran. My partner here was raised in the Catholic Church, but neither of us are really religious anymore. So they don't feel that one of our ministers, our pastors, just like yourself, is someone that they should be looking at as an officiant. And I'd really like you to address that because I know you work with couples from all walks of life.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
stage is yours.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think it's a great question because I get that question a lot, and have seen that happen, as a trend, oftentimes is, people aren't interested in having a religious ceremony or anything like that. So what I say to you is that while I'm an ordained pastor and my training comes from going to school for that, as well as my training in doing weddings,
Mhm.
um, I have done multiple hundreds of weddings that have nothing to do with religion at all. And really, my thought process is this: you don't, why you would choose me would be because I have the ability to take your love story, to be able to personalize it and customize it, and to make it a memorable day, because it's your love story that's important. And so, whether you have religion as part of it or not, or any other spiritualities or not, the important piece of the day is your love story. And so, I have that ability to be able to take that and to transform it into a very memorable occasion. And it doesn't have to be religious at all. So, really, I think it's the personality. I think
Mhm.
it's the person who does have some experience and some training in doing these kinds of events that you want for sure. But you also are just looking for the person who can take what's special about you as a couple and really transform that into a great day.
Because that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
I keep
absolutely,
telling
absolutely,
our couples, this is about you. It's whatever you want, first of all, but it's bringing in the
absolutely.
experience to the
Hmm.
whole thing, and that's what you're bringing into it. So I have
Yeah.
to ask you, being an officiant, it takes a special kind of person, and we all have a reason why we're doing weddings, why we're wanting
Mhm.
to be a part of that very special day. What are your reasons?
Well, I originally really started to do a lot of weddings because I always found weddings to be actually quite boring to go to attend. They all look alike.
Yeah.
The bride's going to walk down the aisle, and several things are going to happen, and they pretty much happen, similarly, I should say. But I also felt like there was no personalization. There was no excitement about the love story that brought these two people together. And I really felt like somebody really needs to take that and really kind of take it to a next level and really make it that personal love story, being able to take what's special about bringing two people together and really highlighting that not just for them but for all the people that are at their wedding, so that when they walk away, they really feel like, wow, that officiant, they knew us. They knew exactly who we were. Whether I've ever met them, for longer than 5 or 10 minutes or not, my goal always would be to that they would know that that I'm an old family friend. I knew them forever, but I'm just highlighting their love story. So I got into it because I thought there needed to be more customization and personalization of that piece of the wedding.
Yeah.
So much of the wedding, we do the cake and the DJ and the flowers, right? That's all. People spend a lot of time, effort, money on those things. But
Mhm.
sometimes we don't spend that same amount of time and effort on the ceremony itself. And I think that's really the reason for the day. And so I really want to be that person who can help elevate that piece of their day to a higher level.
No pun intended, right?
That's right. Exactly. Exactly.
So what is one, two, three things that you wish that a couple would ask you when they first meet with you in terms of, there's always questions that we wish the couples would ask and we have to come out with. But what do you wish that they knew
Mm.
about, or that they thought about in the process of the ceremony itself?
Yeah. Um, I really wish that people would ask for help with their vows, with
Yeah.
their vow writing.
Yeah.
Um, I think people have lots of ideas about that. They might say, oh, we're just going to write them ourselves, and then they wait until the night before, and because it's the last thing that's on their minds, or it's very scary, they don't really know where to start. And so I often wish that they would ask those questions early on. And I tend to ask those questions like, how are your vows? Do you want them as something that's already done and you just repeat, or are you writing them? And would you like some help with that? Would you like some tips for that? Those kind of
Mhm.
things. And because I think what happens, and I've had it happen a lot, is they wait till the last minute and then they don't know what to say. And we come upon the wedding and they don't feel comfortable, with whatever it is that they want to do. So that I think would be great, and usually a question that I ask early on if I can. So, um, and I think the question that I love to ask is to each of the people separately is what do you love most about your partner? What drew you to him, her, or they, and and vice versa. What drew you to your partner? And I love to be able to incorporate that into the ceremony somehow without them knowing.
Mhm.
And so because then that's also becomes more specialized. But I really like people to think about, why are you getting married?
Yeah.
What brought you together? Why now? And what are your hopes for the future? And how can I help with that? And so I think those are two things that it would be lovely if people would think about that a little bit more, I think. But
Right.
sometimes just needs prompting to
Absolutely.
do that.
So one of my
Yeah.
favorite questions is to ask, what's your favorite, most unexpected thing that happened at a wedding?
Well, that was easy. So last year I did a wedding, and it was an outdoor wedding, very small, very intimate situation, but it was really funny. After the bride had come down their aisle, so did a goose. And a goose just so a goose walked down the aisle right after the bride, went up to where the bride and the groom were standing, and sat there for the entire ceremony, and didn't move until the bride and the groom kind of moved to, do their kiss and turn around and things like that. And then all of a sudden the goose got upset and, honked, and then flew away. But it was so funny that it was almost as if the goose was part of the wedding, and
Absolutely.
that was all staged and planned, and it wasn't,
I don't think
obviously.
you could have staged and planned that. No way. Oh my
It
gosh.
was hilarious. It was just hilarious. And of course it just, made the whole day very, on a light level. And everybody laughed and nobody got, too excited about it, but just let the goose sit there.
That is so funny. That is so funny. And those are
Yeah.
the things, and that's excellent advice that you just gave is without saying it quite this way, is roll with the punches. Those will be
Yeah.
some of the most memorable things that happen that people will be talking about for years.
Yeah. Expect the unexpected because it'll happen.
It definitely makes it not a boring wedding that way, huh?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Right.
All right, we're
Yeah.
going to do something fun called
Okay.
spin the wheel for our next question.
Okay.
We'll see what comes up, and then I will ask you of it. Okay, come on, spin. There we go.
So there you go.
Round and around and around. Okay. Are
Ah,
there any wedding trends that you dislike?
um, there's not like this one little thing. What really bugs me is that people think that the only way they can have a beautiful or meaningful wedding is that they have to spend tens of thousands of dollars and
Yeah.
go into debt in order to make it a special day. And
Mhm.
I really, I wish people would know that it's not about the money that you spend. It's about the specialness of the day and why you're there and who is there with you and all of your loved ones. And that really, a lot of some of the weddings I've done more recently are, they don't have big budgets, and they are some of the most beautiful weddings I've ever seen or been a part of.
Oh yeah.
So I just want to, people don't have to go into debt to get married. And I think that I am kind of seeing that a little bit more nowadays, where people are they're making it much more simpler. And I like that. That's a good thing.
We're
Yeah.
seeing that as well.
Yeah.
We're talking to a number of couples about just elopements with just their parents, last minute. Some of it, they're accelerating their plans. And some of it's because of the economy, some of it's because of
Mhm.
illnesses that some family members are facing. And
Right.
they are scaling down a little bit and
Hmm.
realizing that they can still have that beautiful day. And so thank you for emphasizing
Yeah.
that and mentioning it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in leading up to today, you may, knowing that we were going to be sitting down and talking and that it was going to be recorded, um, is there anything that crossed your mind that was like, oh, I want to make sure I talk about this? What do you want to end with?
What I want to end with is I encourage couples to really embrace the specialness and the sacredness of the moment, of the time, of not only their coming together, but of really just celebrating on this day, this love story that got them there, but also how that starts a new beginning or a new chapter for the rest of their lives. And I just encourage them to revel in that a little bit, to really hold it as sacred, and that it's not about the flavor of cake, or it's not about the best music, or the prime rib, or whatever it is that you're going to offer. And all those things are wonderful, but hold sacred the reason that you're there. And
Mhm.
I just think that that's just an important piece, and that would be my piece of advice for people.
I love it. Now,
Yeah.
I am going to ask you actually one more question.
Yeah.
Tell us about Sassy Preacher Lady Ministries and the work that you are involved in, because you are doing some amazing things in the world.
I do a lot of different things. So I actually started the business specifically to officiate weddings, and I also officiate funerals as well. Um, Basically, both for the same reason. I want the story to be special. I want it to be personalized and customized, whether it's a love story or the story of somebody's life, and to really honor and to celebrate both of those things. And so I started out doing those things, and then I've expanded it a little bit to include some spiritual direction. I do premarital counseling as well. And so I've expanded those services under that umbrella, and do quite a bit of those kind of things as well. And then I also help people facilitate retreats and workshops. And so I just feel like my background and my history, and even though and my experience as a pastor, just allows me the ability to do lots of things to really help people celebrate who they are, to help them grow and discover, and to just, and be transformed in, whether it's at their wedding, whether it's at the end of their life, whether it's just some struggles that they might have, that they're just questioning what their life's all about. I just feel like I have the ability to sit with people, to be present with people, and to help them find the answers for themselves that they already have inside them. I don't get to tell you the answers, but I can help you find those answers that you already have. So I just love it. Sassy Preacher Lady actually came from my husband. Um, when I became a preacher, he just used to call me Sassy Preacher all the time. And it just kind of stuck. And I kind of went with it as far as kind of the name of my overall business. And it's just kind of fun because it always is uh, something to talk about.
And I think it's also a great descriptor of you.
Yeah.
So it's perfect. Applaud your husband for that. Well, Denise,
Yeah.
thank you very much for getting with me on this interview today. I have
Yeah.
really thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you a little bit more. I've learned stuff
Yeah.
about you, and I am so glad that you're a valued member of our team.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I really appreciate the time today.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay, folks, that was Denise Shannon, and I encourage you to, when this part of this video ends, the next screen you're going to see is her contact information. So if there's anything that she said that you want to reach out to her and get to know her a little bit, you'll have that information in just a moment. And then following that, you're going to find all of our contact information, because we'd love to work with you on your wedding or answer any questions that you have about your officiant. Have a great day.